Oh, it looks like it is. Okay. Well, welcome again, everyone. My name is Rhoda from the Financial Aid Office. I am also a Toro. Got my master's in public administration from Dominguez Hills many years ago. I'm not going to tell you when, but so I'm a Toro myself. I love this campus. Thank you for joining us, and I hope this presentation helps you as you try to move forward and complete your degrees. Okay. All right. So what we're going to discuss, I'm going to move the camera that way. So we're just going to talk about the key resources for financial aid, which is our website primarily. Going to talk about types of aid, highlight that for you, the types of aid that are available, the application process, and some of the changes you want to look out for. Satisfactory academic progress. Sabrina was mentioning that might have been a barrier for some folks. We've had some recent policy changes that I think will help. Frequently asked questions based on what you sent to Sabrina, and then we'll just recap. Okay. All right, so a key resource is our financial aid and scholarships webpage. Give you the QR code here if you wanted to hover over that and bookmark it. But this is a current view of our webpage. Here's our website up here, csudh.edu/financial-aid. And when you come here, you'll see all of our links on the left. There's tiles down below that correspond to the links for forms and scholarships, etc. We have our current a listing of workshops that we're now offering for 2024-25. If you're looking to return to us in the fall semester, so I encourage you, feel free to join in-person or Zoom sessions. Okay, and then there's been some changes to the FAFSA for 2024-25. I'm going to discuss it, but there is a link on our homepage. Okay. So what kind of information is available for you on our homepage? Just going from left to right here. So you have our announcements. So I just mentioned our help sessions and the FAFSA Cal Dream Act applications, help sessions. You have our forms if that's needed, scholarships, types of aid. It gives a detailed description on federal, state, and institutional programs. I'm going to highlight them, but for the sake of time, we're not going to go into too much detail on each unless you have some questions. And then workshop sections, distance learning. We offer aid for the winter session, spring, intersession, and summer. And then financial aid TV. Which gives a lot of useful videos on types of aid, satisfactory academic progress, personal finance. I love those videos on budgeting, saving, credit card, debt management, all sorts of things. And it's available 24/7 to anyone who just visits the site. So just to go into a little bit on types of aid, right? So the categories are federal grants, state grants, scholarships, federal loans, federal work study, right? So just remember, anything that is a grant, that's the free money that does not have to be repaid. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about those types. You have scholarships. Those are free monies that don't have to be repaid. You usually have to apply separately, but free money, right? Then you have loans. Those are considered self-help. Okay, so it's still a source of financial aid, but after you graduate or leave school or drop below half-time enrollment, as we say here, you then go into repayment after your grace period ends. And then there's the federal work study program. Again, self-help, you just earn those dollars through your part-time employment. And there's also the LEAP program, learning allied education programs. We can talk about that. And then there's one called College Corps for here in California. But those are programs where you put in your volunteer service hours, and then you could earn the money based on your service hours to be applied towards your education. So those are actually very good programs too. And then just a little bit more on types of aid. So on the federal grant side, you can see here, there's the federal Pell Grant, SCOG grant, TEACH grants, if you're thinking you might want to go into teaching, the Iraq, Afghanistan service grants, right? For some of you, you may think, hey, I exhausted my Pell Grant eligibility and I thought that was it. Well, not necessarily, right? Maybe you've exhausted the Pell Grant eligibility, but you could be eligible for some of these other types, specifically also the state grants. So there's the Cal Grant A and B program. There's the State University Grant Program that's offered by all the CSU campuses. Now California has the Middle Class Scholarship Program, and they've expanded out that eligibility over the past year. So, and then there's the Golden State Teacher Grant, again, for someone going into teaching. If anyone is a foster youth, they can apply for the Chafee Grant Foster Youth Program if they meet that criteria. And then on the loans and work study side, you have the direct subsidized loan, the direct unsubsidized loan. If you're going to go to graduate school, graduate plus loan for the master's students. If you're a dependent student trying to finish your undergraduate degree and your parents are willing to borrow a loan, there's the Parent Plus loan. Of course, there are private loans. And then I was mentioning the work study, the LEAP, and College Corps programs. So lots of different sources out there, and that didn't even touch on the scholarship opportunities, which is next, right? So you have the Dominguez Hill scholarships, which I would encourage you to visit our scholarship webpage. And when you select the scholarships link, when you log into your portal, that's how you can do your search and apply, okay? I do not believe we have opened up the scholarships for next year yet. That'll be forthcoming probably in March or April. No date certain yet for 2024-25. But you would be able to search and apply through the portal. And usually it's just, we've changed it so there's only one application that you can submit, and then you can be considered for all the different university scholarships. Now, there are a few departments that maybe will still have their own separate application. There's some. So that would be a separate process for you. But for the most part, we do have plenty of university scholarships you can just do one application for, okay? In the center here, I would highly advise you to attend any of our financial aid wellness sessions. Our financial wellness sessions are offered on a variety of topics, including on how to search and apply for scholarships. I think it's one of our best sessions, to be honest. But you can learn how to write an essay, how to use the scholarship search engine, get some other tips. You can register online on our website, okay? Also on Toro link. Let's see, and using a scholarship search engine. So you might say, what is that? Well, scholarships are available for all sorts of backgrounds, abilities, and levels, right? And sometimes it could be overwhelming if you're just trying to do your own little Google search or whatnot to try to find them, right? Or go to different organizations. But if you use a scholarship search engine like fastweb.com, scholarships.com, the College Board Big Future, Scully by Sally Mae, or any others that you happen to search for. These scholarship search engines are for free, but basically you can use a search engine, you create your profile, your interests, like I wear glasses, I like to roller skate, I like to bowl, I'm a psych major, I'm a liberal studies major. I was thinking about some of the majors you guys had listed there. You fill out your profile and then it will generate a list of scholarships that you can apply for with deadline dates, etc. It just helps make the management and your searching easier. So that's just one tip there on how to find some other sources of aid outside of doing the financial aid application. And then lastly here, just be aware that the information is out there for free. You shouldn't have to pay for it. So just be aware of scams. I'm letting you know you have all these sources out here that are available for free. Okay. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about the financial aid application process. So still the two types of applications. There's the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. Give you the website here, studentaid.gov. You have to be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen. Applicants are considered for both federal and state funds. You want to reapply for every new academic year, okay? And the normal filing period is October 1st through March 2nd here. But, sorry, it says reminder, but I need to tell you 2024-25, there's been some changes. So there was a delay. So the application really didn't become available until December of last year, December 31st, and the deadline has been extended to April 2nd. So right now it's February 6th. So if you have not completed your application, now's the time. If you're considering returning for the fall or next spring, now's the time to get it done. If anything, just make sure you do it by April 2nd, okay? Same thing for the California Dream Act. the DREAM Act application, because it really mirrored the FAFSA question. So because the FAFSA changed, the California DREAM Act had to change as well. And for students who would complete a DREAM Act application would be students who meet the AB 540 requirements. You can be considered for state aid and scholarships. Again, you want to reapply for each new academic year, typically between October 1st and March 2nd. But again, for 24-25, this will be the exception, and students have until April 2nd, okay, of this year. Basic information that you need, whether it's the FAFSA or California DREAM Act application, you're going to need your student login, at least one parent, okay, will need to have their login information. You want to have your tax information, W-2s. I'll add any business information, if you have business or investments or whatnot. We're using this, the 2024-25 application, we'll be using 2022 income information. And then here's our school code, 001141. But again, as you're completing it, if you're struggling, you have a question, you can always call us while you're doing it, or come to one of our help sessions or join one of our Zoom sessions that we offer. We're going to have several between now and the end of March, prior to April 2nd. For the Cal DREAM Act application, might ask for your Social Security number or your I-10. The application may also ask you for your statewide student identification number, SSID. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, no worries, okay? Just FYI on that. Okay, when it comes to the application help sessions, okay, give you the QR code again to our workshop page. So again, we offer the application help sessions for the FAFSA and Cal DREAM Act applications, as well as the financial wellness sessions. But do check this out so that you can maybe register for one of our sessions. And again, we have a few more Zooms between now and the end of March, but several in person. All are welcome, okay? Okay, so let's kind of talk about what's changed. If you've ever applied for it in the past, yes, it's going to look different when you visit and log in for this 24-25 application. We have a website that we created, Understanding FAFSA Simplification. This is the law that legislation that kind of got all the wheels turning for the changes that have now been implemented. When you go to our link for 24-25 FAFSA simplification, you'll see these three boxes here. These two tiers for FAFSA and the CA DREAM Act will take you to those websites to apply, but you might want to first go to Understanding FAFSA Simplification. And when you select it, you'll get a page, and then as you scroll down a little bit, you'll see these three tiles: students and families, campus partners, frequently asked questions. The two I would refer you to is first students and families, and then secondly, frequently asked questions. If you have questions, there's several, but you can probably find the answer that you're looking for, okay? But just to highlight it, there's lots to cover, but not in this session. But just to highlight some of the things, again, priority application period is opened up in December. You have until April 2nd. If you apply after April 2nd, you will still be considered for aid, but you might miss out on some of the types of aid, right? Especially a lot of the state aid. So you want to make sure you submit it on time, April 2nd. They're a couple of hours ahead, so you want to do it at least by 10 p.m. our time, okay, here in California. Let's see, FSA ID and email invites. This is a change. So some new terminology introducing you to students who complete the FAFSA and their parents, step-parents, spouses are all considered contributors. All contributors will require an FSA ID username and password. Students will need to send an email invite for their parent, step-parent, spouse, depending on their dependency status, but everybody will need to have their own username and password. Even parents with no SSN are going to have the ability to create an FSA ID. That has changed from in the past. There have been a little hiccups over the past month, But the Federal Student Aid Commission are trying to, Federal Student Aid, Department of Education, they're trying to sort that out. So hopefully sometime this month, the issues that parents were having who didn't have an SSN and creating their user ID or reaching out to the Federal FSA have been resolved. Okay, but they're working on it. Let's see, provide consent. So everyone who's a contributor has to provide consent. Consent to what? Consent to have their information used on the FAFSA. Okay. Information is going to be coming directly from the IRS as far as your income information. So financial aid direct data exchange is the new name for the process to bring that information over from the IRS. And then the information that you're providing consent to be used and transferred over is called the Federal Tax Information, or FTI. So just two new, actually, 4 new words: contributors, consent, direct data exchange, not words, terminology, and federal tax information. New terminology to get used to for everyone. Okay, what are the benefits of the changes that have been made? Well, students and families are going to see a different measure of their ability to pay for college and experience a change in the methodology used to determine aid. Okay, so just covering the bullets here for some of the benefits. It's more streamlined, and it is. I've gone through several demos with students and even some live. I have one student that got it done in 5 minutes. Okay. Expanded eligibility for federal student aid, expanded eligibility for the Pell Grant program, reduced barriers for certain student populations. It is a better user experience. I can attest to that. And then enhanced data sharing with the IRS to simplify the experience. Okay. Some more new terminology and giving you the QR code to FATV to watch the video. They have some great videos on the new terms and the changes. So I mentioned it earlier, but contributor, anyone who was asked to provide information on the FAFSA. So that could be you, the student, if you're married, your spouse, your parents and or step parents, okay? Not your grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, nothing. It's just you, your spouse, your parent or step parent. Consent, each contributor will now have to provide their consent to use their federal tax information, FTI, to be concluded on the FAFSA, okay, and it'll come directly from the IRS. Family size replaces household size. So household size has gone away. The family size that information is going to be used is coming directly from the person who filed their income taxes, or you filed your income taxes. If you had any exemptions that were claimed, that's going to be used in place of household size. But if anyone has to change that, like let's say you have a new child, or maybe now you're taking care of an elderly grandparent or parent or aunt or uncle or something, if you've taken on some dependents different from what you filed 2 years ago, you'll be able to change your family size when you're doing your application. Student aid index, that is replacing expected family contribution. So expected family contribution is going away. This new index is going to replace it. Again, I would encourage you to utilize the FATV videos to watch some of the videos on this direct data exchange, how the new FAFSA is working and looking, and then you'll just be more informed about the new changes. Okay, so now an overview of satisfactory academic progress, SAP. So with satisfactory academic progress, we have to monitor your grades, right? You have to be meeting the minimum standards, and there's 3 that are listed here. And just know that we monitor your grades at the end of each semester, okay? And we look at GPA, the unit completion rate, or can be referred to as PACE rate, excuse me, the maximum time frame or unit cap, okay? Give you our website here, QR code. This last 2 sentences here: if you were disqualified from receiving aid due to not meeting satisfactory academic progress previously, you may have the option to appeal, but I'm going to go over that and some of your frequently asked questions, okay? So don't be discouraged. All right, so when you look at our website now, you're going to see some changes to how we've listed some of the information. So standard 1 out of the 3, standard 1 minimum GPA requirement. You can see here if anyone's a master's student, doctoral 3.0, credential 2.5, undergraduates, juniors and seniors 2.0, sophomores 1.8, first year students 1.5. Second standard, completion percentage. It used to be 75%. Now it has been lowered to 66.67%. And it will be cumulative. So all of your grades and attempted units from your courses, even from transfer units, will be counted. And we think that will help a lot of students. Same thing goes for the GPA, failed to mention that. But standard percentage, I'm sorry, completion percentage, okay, or unit completion percentage. So you want to meet the 66.67 passing rate, and notice the passing grades A, B, C, D. I is for incomplete, credit, or report in progress. Those are all good for financial aid. Those right there. How does it work? Give you a quick little example. So let's say someone enrolled in 12 units for the semester. If we did the calculation, he or she will need to pass at least 8 units. So if you did the math, 12 times 0.666 could take the 7 in there too, but 0.666 is 7.992. You got to round it up because of course you're not going to have a class for 0.992, right? So we rounded it up to 8. Grades, so these are grades that don't count. F, I, C, no credit. The W's for the withdrawal or unofficial withdrawal. RD, report delayed, and I forget what the AU stands for, but those are not considered passing grades, okay? Let's see, last standard, maximum time frame or unit cap. So students must complete their program before attempting 150% of their program's required units. What does that mean? So for example, for most undergraduate programs, you only need about 120 units, give or take. Okay, so we go with 120. So if you take 120 units, we calculated that 180 would be the maximum time frame or unit cap. Because if you take 120, you multiply by 150%, you get the 180 units. All units, okay, all attempted coursework will be counted, including transfer units, repeats, and withdrawals. And just FYI, up to 30 units of remedial units can be excluded. Okay, but 180 is the unit cap. But if someone has reached the unit cap, which I'm pretty sure some students who are trying to return may have, there's the appeal process that we're going to talk about. Okay, this is new. We've changed a little bit about our financial aid warning policy. So now the first time the GPA and or that 66.67 completion rate are not met. So let's say someone's GPA is below the 2.0 for junior seniors, right? And they didn't quite meet that 66% passing rate. Let's say they attempted 12 units, they only passed 6, okay? They're put on a financial aid warning for the next semester of enrollment. No appeal or anything's needed. It's going to be automatic. Students will be placed on warning. And for that warning period, the student, the second bullet here, is eligible to receive aid. So students will still be able to get their money, receive their payment, have their tuition paid, get their refund, same as normal, right? It's just that they're on warning. And then here in this second column here, during that warning period, that's when students would need to do well and meet the minimum standards. So if students at the end of that second term, their next term, they meet all the requirements, right? Presuming that they haven't reached the unit cap, the maximum time frame, but they met the GPA requirement and the passing rate requirement, then they're good. Okay, you would be good. And then you just start the next semester. No muss, no fuss, you're good. Okay. Now, if someone does not meet the minimum standards after they've been placed on financial aid warning, then that's when their aid eligibility gets suspended and they have the opportunity to appeal. Okay. So You get a first semester of warning, you don't do well, you get your 8 that next semester, you have a semester to kind of turn it around, get the GPA up, meet the passing rate standard. In the event that someone doesn't do that, then their eligibility is suspended, and then they have the opportunity to appeal. Okay? Again, let me know if you have questions on that. Financial aid disqualification, just 2 categories here. Students who are on FA warning, financial aid warning. If they didn't meet the minimum standards after that warning semester, then they are disqualified, their eligibility suspended, but they have the opportunity to appeal. And then, of course, someone who has reached the maximum time frame or unit cap, their eligibility is suspended, but they have the opportunity to appeal. What would that entail for these folks who've reached unit cap? You would just tell us why you have reached, presuming all undergraduates, why you have reached the unit cap, the 180 units, without receiving your degree. Sometimes students say, well, you know what, I transferred in a lot of units, or I had a couple of bad semesters, I had to repeat these classes, or I changed my major. Whatever that situation or circumstance may be, you just explain that, and then you tell us what's left to complete. What are those remaining courses you have left? How many units? How many semesters? And then that's what you would submit in your SAP appeal if you're submitting a SAP appeal for maximum time frame, or also referred to as unit cap. Let's see, I thought this would be useful for you, how to check your SAP status, because we don't keep any secrets from you. So when you log into your My CSUDH, and this is the desktop view, not looking from your phone or the mobile app, but you log into My CSUDH, you go to your Student Center, and then you want to go to the finances section that you see here. Finances is underneath academics. It's right above. The personal information is right below. But you go to the finances section, and then you have the financial aid links, and there's one for View Academic Progress SAP. So when you select that, then you would select the term you want to view. You always want to select the most current term. In this case, in this example, this student would be selecting spring 2024 because that's the term that we're in. Similarly, if you're going to apply and return for fall 2024, if you follow these steps, you're going to be making a selection for fall 2024 to see where you stand. Okay, so let's say we selected the spring 2024, we selected this hyperlink over here on the left, and then you get all of the descriptions. So you can see in this example for this student, overall SAP status, this student is green across the board. That's great. The student is meeting satisfactory academic progress for all 3 categories. For the maximum time frame, 150%. Student is not there yet. Student has only completed 100 units, okay? Not near the 180 yet. GPA, the student's GPA is 2.250. That's above the 2.0, good. Units attempted, the student had attempted 9 units, passed all 9, they passed 100%. The student was good, okay? You can see here it says 75%. We just made the pivot to our new policy, so eventually this will say to 66.67, okay? And that's how you can review your status. Let's see, SAP appeal form. In the event that you require the submission of a appeal form, we're going to go over this on the right here, but just be sure that when you're submitting it, you include your full name and your CSUDH ID number on the submission cover sheet, your appeal form, and your type signed statement. And then everything will be submitted online to our online Dropbox, okay, which is located on our forms page. And speaking of the form, when you go to our forms page, here it is. Not showing you the screenshot of the top page. There's a cover page, but that's just a cover page for you to put in your name and ID number, gives you some instructions. But this right here is the actual appeal form itself. Gives you the instructions on how to complete it. Just highlighting here your reason and required documentation. So the reason, you're just going to be selecting whichever applies to you. GPA, the unit deficiency, right, which is the completion rate, the 66.67 now, or unit cap. Some students who have, maybe they're okay GPA wise and their passing rate is fine, but they've reached the unit cap, and so they would select this box, and we give you the breakdown 180 units for graduate students, usually 65 for masters. Okay, post-baccalaureate 45. And then down below, here's the required documentation. Sometimes students miss it. They're just like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to type a statement? Well, yes, we list that here on the form. So the very first item with the box is the signed type statement outlining the circumstances that prevented you from meeting SAP. And then this is important. You want to explain the steps you've taken or will take to successfully pass your courses and or raise your GPA for the next semester you attend. Of course, if it's UNICAP, you're going to explain why you've reached it and what's left for you to complete. Now, this kind of throws people off sometimes. They're just like copies of supporting documentation. Sometimes students have supporting documentation, sometimes they don't. It just depends on their circumstances. Not everybody does. So usually it's just a statement from you. But like if someone was in an accident or they had a death in the family, if there was something in or a medical related matter, maybe they might want to provide some supporting documentation. But sometimes students are just like, hey, I just had some bad terms. I wasn't focused. I had childcare issues, whatever it is, and you don't have documentation for that. You're just going to explain what your circumstances were. Okay. And just make sure you're typing your statement and you're actually applying a signature. No type signatures. So you're either going to, if you have Adobe Acrobat and you're using your mouse or to do your signature, that's fine. Or you apply your signature, or maybe you print your document, okay, and then you sign it, and then maybe you scan it or take a picture of it with your phone, whichever way. But it has to be an actual signature, just not typed. Okay, and then you sign below. Oops. Okay. Hopefully that helped on SAP. Okay, now we're going to get to the frequently asked questions. Hopefully I'm good on time because I'm not monitoring that. So there were several questions that Sabrina received. So, and some of them kind of overlapped a little bit. So I put them into these categories. So the first are related to SAP. So questions related to SAP, satisfactory academic progress. So these are the questions that we got. Can I receive financial aid with a low GPA? Possibly. Submitting a SAP appeal is more than likely required. Okay. What is the financial aid process for students that were disqualified due to GPA? Submit a SAP appeal. If I had not so good grades before I stopped attending the university, am I still eligible to apply for FAFSA? Yes. Go ahead and get it done. If you're trying to come next year, do it by April 2nd. Please, please, please. Can't stress that enough. Would assistance still be available if we had left under academic probation / low GPA status? Possibly. I would say contact our office to review your record with a financial aid representative, and I give you our phone number. Okay. And that way we can look at where you were standing with us when you were on probation. Because if you're on academic probation, you may have also been on financial aid probation. If you didn't appeal, I'm not sure. So contact our office. Okay, questions related to financial aid. So there were a few that I thought that were all related to financial aid. First and foremost, how to apply and search for scholarships here. Well, to apply, you're going to do the FAFSA or the Cal Dream Act application based on your citizenship status. And then to search for grants, visit our website. I would like to know more about resources that offer financial aid. Again, visit our website, sorry, and attend our next scholarship Finding Free Money for College session. Okay, I can't advise that enough. All right. Next one. If we are part-time students, can we still get loans and scholarships? Yes. For some scholarships, it just depends on that agency or donor to make sure that they're not requiring you to be enrolled full-time, but generally, yes. Next one. I'm still paying on my past financial aid. I presume that that's probably loans. Will I still be able to get more money for financial aid to complete my degree? The answer is yes, as long as you have not exhausted your eligibility. Okay. So, and if you have questions about your remaining eligibility, give us a call. We can help look it up. Let's see. I was told I ran out of funding. Well, call our office because you may not have exhausted all of your sources of funding. So remember a few slides back, I gave you a list of all the different types of aid, federal, state, and then the loans and work study. Maybe you just exhausted your federal Pell Grant eligibility or your Cal Grant eligibility. It doesn't mean you don't have eligibility for the other items. And there's the middle class scholarship program now, okay, that people are eligible for here in California. So there may be other sources of funding, okay? Let's see. What are the qualifications for a returning student to receive financial assistance to pay for classes? Well, answer, submit an application, be meeting all minimum SAP standards, and have remaining aid eligibility. When to apply and reapply for school. Wasn't quite too sure about the when to reapply for school. I was thinking the admissions application, so I just said for school, contact admissions about their process and times. Probably time to do that now. For financial aid, I've already mentioned it before, but it bears repeating. Do your application and do it by April 2nd. All right. Okay, next group of questions. These were related to enrollment. Can I finish my degree with online classes only? Possibly, contact the Admissions and Records Office. We're not sure about that because we're financial aid, but it's a great question. Are there online programs available, and just more information on that? And options one may have to complete and pivot as needed. Contact admissions. Okay. I'm returning, but I also want to change my major. How do I go about doing this? Contact a registrar. Solution to finish what I started. I only have 21 units left to finish my degree in computer science, I'm thinking that is. Contact a registrar's office and perhaps your academic counselors for your major.
And Rhoda, those are questions that I can address for our returning students as well.
Good.
Many of these questions, so I can address them as we close out.
Okay, thank you. Okay, run out. Okay, and then these were payments related to payments. Counseling needs, financial aid counseling. Here's our phone number: 243-3691. Childcare. I looked that up. Contact the Child Development Center. Here's their phone number. Can I set a payment plan for the money owed? Possibly. Call Student Financial Services, give you their number down below. How can I manage my ability to pay for the next 2 semesters? I would say contact Student Financial Services about the installment plans and definitely apply for financial aid. How do I know how much money is left or how much I can get back? Call or visit our office, check your My CSUDH Student Center record. And how does an outstanding balance affect our chances to potentially receive financial support? No effect whatsoever. If you owe a past due balance, that does not affect your ability to get aid moving forward. However, Student Financial Services may place a hold on your enrollment if a past due balance hasn't been paid. So that's on Student Financial Services side. Okay, and just to recap, hopefully those responses helped. So just remember to always reapply for each new academic year, normally between October 1st and March 2nd, but this year is an exception. You have until April 2nd, okay, for 24-25. Take advantage of our help sessions. Okay, they'll be available from now through the end of March. Past due balances must be repaid before you re-enroll in classes. Contact admissions, the registrar, your academic counselor, Student Financial Services, or counseling for payment related and your academic enrollment concerns, okay? If you're not meeting SAP, don't be deterred. You'll have an opportunity to appeal. Do apply for scholarships. You want help, use a search engine, and definitely attend our next session. We'll have one in a few weeks. Use your student center to review your account balances, your SAP status, your holds, to-dos. And then take advantage of financial aid TV. Can't stress that enough for things related to financial aid, especially with the changes to the FAFSA moving forward for 24-25, and a host of other topics on personal finance. And with that, I'm gonna stop my share, but here's, if you want to take a quick little screenshot of that with your phones, you got our office email address, phone number, our location, as well as student financial services. If you have old balance, payments, installment plans, that they're the ones to contact.